Hello, 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 everyone. How are you today? So, I guess Elon's selling is back. By the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, and clicking on the like button. That's really important so you know when we go live with the live streams. All right. Well, interesting day today. Lots of selling pressure. Unrelenting today. Unrelenting. Hello, Wavy. Wavy and Dave. Hello. 909 incoming. Well, let's just take a look before we get caught up in the weeds at the bigger picture price action. It's always helpful to refresh ourselves. So, so you don't get caught up. So just in general, we have still lower lows and lower highs. Uh, so that we've come back to the weekly rotation zone and tried a rotation up, and now we're essentially neutral on the week. Tomorrow is going to be very telling. We've came back to the daily rotation zone and today rotated back down. We closing right at the 50. I'm calling this a close right at the 50. Last time we closed at or below the 50 was back on October 17th. That was put in the Discord server. So daily, well, let's just go through. Weekly is still above the rotation zone, so it's still bullish. Does that mean every day is bullish? No, that means we're watching for longer term rotations up. So technically, this is still bullish. We still have this gap behind. Bottom of the weekly rotation zone is actually just below the gap fill. Daily, roll over. This is in bearish mode. So we were in bullish, then we closed below that, shifting to neutral. We got the first cross that puts us in bearish. If we had closed today back above the blue line, that would have put us to neutral. We're not in neutral. We're still in bearish mode, and we returned to it and rolled over. 4 hour, we returned to the 4 hour rotation zone yesterday and rotated back down and eventually filled the gap left behind from December 6th. 1 hour, remember we talked about that. I was watching to see if that would hold yesterday on any lower price action. Did not hold. Okay, and then, closing down here, then the gap fill. So this is why. So 4 hours bearish, daily's bearish, 1 hour's bearish, 15-minute. You can see here just a sideways move here, but 15-minute catching up, pushing the price. Never got a close in the 15-minute. 5-minute never got a close above the top of the 5-minute rotation zone. So that's all our recap. Now, what does that mean for tomorrow? Just because everything besides the weekly is in bearish mode does not prohibit bullish trades. What it means is you better be taking your profits at the key targets and aggressively moving up stops. Remember when we talked about yesterday, we talked about hitting, or the last couple days, we talked about, okay, we first ran into the first side of the rotation zone, that was move stops and or take profits on long positions. Definitely hitting the other side of the rotation zone, and we hit these key clusters, move stops, and take some profits. Why do you do that into this move? Because we're still against the rotation zone on the daily and 4 hour time frames, and today makes it seem really well timed because you get the strong rotation down. Is this due to Elon selling? Most likely, yes. This was relentless selling pressure. It wasn't just Elon today, though. There was some major selling pressure. We have to confirm, of course, once the Form 4 is filed. I would be shocked if this selling was not, if Elon was not part of this selling. Let's put it that way. We don't, again, have confirmation. It's just when we start seeing it in the waves like we did today, it really matches the other selling from earlier from his plan. So, last week I think he only sold one day. Somebody can correct me in chat if I'm wrong. And this week so far, he sold once that we know of. Probably today. We don't know. Again, we don't know. We have to look to see if has anybody seen anything else out. By the way, what was the 12-9 surprise? Was it just Elon selling more? Was that the surprise? We'll get to what I think. Hey, let's see. Let me get Silly question, but what software tool is being used to look at these prices? This is what Trading View. Trading View. I just went on a blank. Yeah, this is we use Trading View. It's really handy. Online charting. You can do it on your mobile devices. You can do it on your tablets, your phones, everything else, and your desktops, and it just saves all in the cloud. So it's really nice. By the way, there's a link in the description with I have a link for referrals. So if you're interested in even signing up for a trial, and I think you can even get a free trial. It's just limited with the number of indicators you use. Use the link in the description below. Uh, let's see what shorting at market open and been good. I mean, I shifted. I did. There was this little possible. I was watching on this 1 minute. The only where was the bullish thing? There was only this really short-term aggressive bottoming play right in here for a potential bottom. And then that was just rolled back over once. I'll show you exactly. That was the only thing bullish for me today was, all right, so it was a little bullish quick reversal play, watching with the 5 minute ratcheting up stops, but then how I use that 62.5% level, which is right here. Close back below it, back into full-blown bearish mode, and it was bearish the rest of today. Rest of the day. It was hard for me. I don't like gap fills during lunch because there could be fake out moves, but we ended up filling it during lunch and then just rotating back down. So we did have a potential couple double bottoms, potential that never confirmed or triggered. That's why you don't want to front run a bottoming pattern. You don't want to front run it till it's at least confirmed, and I'm waiting for it to trigger. Why? Because we just kept rolling back down in the 5 minute rotation zone. What am I watching for tomorrow? What are my exceptions or my expectations for tomorrow? Think of all, so you made some mistakes. So you think of all the mistakes you made and multiply by 10. Well, I'm sorry that happened, but make notes. I hopefully you have a trading journal and make clear notes. Okay? And also don't try to call bottoms. You can call potential setups. I put them in the potential setups, but other than that, they never manifested. Did we in the Discord? Was there one long setup of the potential ones that ever triggered? Anyone? Not that I saw. Not that I saw anybody put in there either. Selling pressure from the 12.9 nothing burger. There was no surprise. That was a surprise. Everybody wasted all that time trying to figure out what the surprise was, and there was no surprise. All traders must go through our lessons like this, yes. And the best way you learn it is to go through it and then make sure you don't repeat it. 12.9 isn't over yet. Bull's still holding on to hope. Well, we had it was going to split. That would have had to be announced unless there's going to be an 11:59 p.m. tonight announcement. I'm not holding my breath for anything. I always start with the monthly so I don't cry by the time I get to the daily. What would you be crying for? You want this back and forth price action. This is volatility at its finest. What am I watching for tomorrow? Let's get to that first, then we'll get through some more comments. We have a potential, I'm going to stress again, potential double bottom. And I'm not paying attention to post or pre-market, although it'll probably gap up tomorrow just because we have a potential. And what I'd love to do is trade through and trigger it. And then that would be, you see here, here's the move that started it. And the first and second targets are within that move that started it. So on a close above 1012, you have 1016, 17, 79, 1019, 18, then 1021, 57. Move, stop, take profits, take profits. I really weigh heavily on this 10,019, 18. Again, can't give trading advice, but that's really against this key resistance ledge and this 1018 level. which was right from over here that it just sliced through. So it sliced through there pretty rapidly on its way to gap fill, and then that level became a resistance area. I'm actually going to bump that up just a bit, but look how nicely it corresponds. So that's your bullish case tomorrow. That is your bullish case tomorrow. Your bearish case is if we break down with selling pressure tomorrow and it continues. I mean, that's it. I mean, the trend, until we get a confirmed reversal pattern, the trend is still down. Next key area, I have the harmonics on here from the low on December 6th up to yesterday's high on the 8th. You can see here we've already broken below the 50%. The 50% was back at this 10, 11 area. That's why I'm also really keen on this double, because if we do rally up there, get above, I watch for rotations to happen between the 50 and 62.5. So that would sort of be a little mini rotation. Now, if this triggers, does this mean you're trying to hold this for 1200? No, 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 no. Why? Because you have to keep the picture. Look at what's right above there, the 1 hour rotation zone. What can most likely happen in a 1 hour rotation zone? A rotation back down. So these are not things you get married to, these kind of little short bullish trades. If it does trigger in the morning, you use this to eke out a high probability profit, and then don't be shocked if you get back up here and it rolls over. Now, if we continue selling right down in the morning, because we've softened up this, remember, here's this 1,000 mark right around here. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits. I mean, this is really the 5th hit. I was talking 4, but it's really the 5th hit because this softened it. So this level is getting very, very soft. Okay, and again, I don't think this was just Elon selling today. I think, and we're still getting momentum names, overvalued momentum names, still getting sold this December. So that's why I would not be surprised to see continued selling tomorrow morning. Wouldn't be surprised. Now, below here, let's just take a look here. We start dipping below this 1,000 right here. Right now, you can, I mean, we could still find some key support here. So my line in the sand is that roughly that 1,000 tomorrow morning. We drop below there. I have the 62.5% retracement and a harmonic projection, 996.74 to 996.10. We get a close below the 62.5. Then I am watching for, besides using intraday harmonics, I'm watching for further lower price action. Let me just see here. Further lower price action. I will be using the 75 and this other retracement harmonic coming in about 982. Below there, I'm going 965, and then the lows at 950. So those below that on my next major level is 922, but I'd be doing minor levels before that. Now remember, we have a couple things. On a weekly basis, we still have this potential double top, so watch for the close tomorrow. So if we are in bearish mode tomorrow, you're watching for the key close at this low. If it's below there, it does trigger a massive double top. Which again, doesn't mean we can't have rallies in there, but longer term, we start focusing on the key lower price action. Another thing is if we did come back down here, we have to get at least, let me see here. Then I'll get to questions in a second. Hold on. We have to get at least below about this 980 area, at least below about that 980. And if we did come back down here and then we reversed back up, not necessarily tomorrow, but we do have a potential double bottom here that would need to trigger above this high. So that's the only longer term potential bullish case I see if we go lower. Now, what would be interesting is if you sold off in the morning, rallied back up, didn't trigger that double, the massive weekly double top, because you still closed too high, making an interesting double bottom play on the daily, and then we rallied up through the end of the year and retraced some of this. But it's still a little early to talk about that. Just wanted to point it out because somebody asked that question in Discord. So if you're looking for the bullish case tomorrow, the only thing I have is that little mini double bottom. Other than that, it has to work off some of this Selling condition, by the way, even on their daily, not yet oversold. Not yet oversold. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just going through. Uh, let's see. Humor is so hard to determine without tone. Nothing on the long side. Every rally kept rolling over. Yeah, that's why, again, even tomorrow morning, don't just try to pick a bottom. Wait, at least if you have a bullish signal, wait for it to trigger. And then really be aggressive with the stops and with profits. It's got to prove itself. Because even on middle rallies, it can roll over again with those rotation zones. Yeah, just need to stop trying to guess and wait for confirmation. You're better to give up. Look, I don't recall besides that little 1 minute thing, there was nothing bullish to do today because nothing ever confirmed or triggered. And it saves your ass if you're, or sorry, your butt if you're only trading from the long side. And there's plenty of people to trade from the short side. We also have the divergence on the 4 hour and the daily. Let's get what? Let's see. Big players waiting on 1K mark to place massive short positions. I think if we start breaking down again, you'll have more longs unwound and you may get some reestablishment of those shorts that have been sitting because you're still short interest is incredibly low still. There just isn't because this, again, Tesla's ripped too many faces off, especially with this last run up. But you start losing this, and remember, it's still vertical up and we've stalled, bought some time, but this thing could still break down really, really big longer term. And then we'd watch for some great longer term bottoming positions. Uh, you think we're going under? Or, I mean, we're still favoring the downward move, so I still got to go with that in the morning unless that double triggers. I don't have my options up there right now, but the put volume has been going. Yeah, when the call volume when we're ripping to all-time highs. Yeah, exactly. Now it's shifting more and more to the put side. So just keep an eye. Yeah, once the call option vol dries up, I did mention that, and we just haven't we have not been getting the same volume on these bounces, and it's been weak sauce, and it's still decent call volume. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like we had. And also remember, in this we had some options still running up from this. We had minor decent volume coming up, but then that positive gamma, once you roll over and start blowing back down those levels, all the hedging that took place on this way up unravels quickly. And that, as I said before, when you get these selling days and you have the gamma unraveling because the delta's going back down, and so therefore, if I'm a market maker and had to put long hedges in place to offset that short delta, guess what I'm doing? Where it's going back down, I'm also selling. Why am I selling? Because my delta is getting too positive again. So I'm shifting. The lower this goes, I am shifting into bullish mode because my delta's unwinding and therefore I have to offload stock, okay, to get back to delta neutral. So that's where I'm saying on these selling days, especially, that's why this gamma is a major double-edged sword, which a lot of people don't realize. They're like, yeah, we want the gamma. We want the gamma. Well, when you get the selling days, the gamma can turn around and bite you in the butt, and it amplifies the down moves. I mean, it is. It's the reverse gamma because when I'm selling all these calls as a market maker, what's that? That's short deltas, right? How do I offset short deltas? I need long delta. Well, instead of me going to buy other options, because I'm not going to go out buy other options because then I have theta issue, I am going to go to the stock and I'm going to offset that short delta with long stock to get delta neutral. And then if you remember when we've talked about the gamma squeezes the upside, as it approaches those strikes, the gamma really ramps up, which keeps the deltas rising, and so I'm getting shorter and shorter due to my negative deltas, so I have to buy more and more stock, which then juices the stock higher. Once that unravels, though, once that gamma starts going the other way, then I'm also selling because I'm going, oh crap, we're going down and I'm getting longer, all right, via synthetic delta. So I have to sell that stock back out. I have to say, get rid of this stock, get rid of this. I don't want this anymore because I want to be back to delta neutral or slightly delta short because as it keeps selling, my deltas keep going up. So that's where, delta squeezes get very interesting, both to the upside and to the downside when they react. And then if you have puts coming in, see puts though, if I'm selling puts, that gives me, again, positive delta. So then I have to counteract that also. So it's a big game, but just from the call side, as a market maker, you have to stay delta neutral. Okay, so you're going to have to unwind or establish hedges based off what's going on in the option market, and always keep that in mind, especially in a stock like Tesla. That is, the option market is huge. The weekly options are huge, and we've seen those reports. We've seen those reports. How much? I mean, it eclipses every other stock out there. How do they market makers decide what the expiration date they sell? Well, they're making markets. You're required to make markets. As an official options market maker, you're required to make markets in everything liquid in whatever expirations are currently listed. So they are making markets in everything. And then depending on what their trades that are going through, they're hedging throughout the day. You're constantly hedging. You're constantly either buying or selling stock based off what you're doing in the options market to reestablish that delta neutral position. Because won't weekly or other near-term expires be extremely risky to sell? As a market option maker, you have to make a mark. That's what you're there. Now, as just a market participant, if you're not an options market maker, you can do whatever you want. But as an official options market maker, you're required to make a market. So you can't just say, I want to sit this one out. I don't want to sell those. Those are too risky. It doesn't matter. That's your job. That's your job, which is also why you're constantly hedging, because you want to limit your exposure. Okay? That's so you don't get an option. Like when I was an options market maker, I didn't get a choice. I was constantly making, I had to put out bids and offers. All right? You don't get to just say, yeah, I'm not interested in that. No, I might not be the best bid or the best offer because I'm getting very heavy in that, but I'm still required to make a fair and equitable market. Somebody else might have a better bid or offer than me, but let's say their bids hit and then they come to my bid and my bids hit. Well, I can get still filled on stuff I didn't necessarily want, but it doesn't matter because I'm still looking to hedge it off. You're not playing directionally as an options market maker. You're getting back to delta neutral and you're locking in these edges. You're locking in your small edges, and you want to have, there's things you're trying to do, like you want your theta decay to be in your favor and everything else. So there's interesting things you can do to position yourself, but really you might have a little minor exposure to like one direction, either delta positive or delta negative, depending on short term what a stock's doing. But you're not carrying large delta positions because if anything goes against you, you blow yourself up. Okay? Excellent issues. Thanks for your time. Great to see Tesla permanent bulls put in place. You know, again, don't get married to a stock. Don't get married to one thing or another. I have to be bullish. I have to be this. Analyze the market and you got to trade. And if you're only trading a stock from a long side, which is fine, and there is no long setup, then sit on your hands. Again, if I would just let it try to be my friend, like if I don't, Oliver, there'll always be another trade. And don't try to call tops and bottoms. You're better to wait for high probability setups and take your chunk out of your middle. You're not there to call the low or the high. You're there to wait for the probabilities. And right now, with the trend is still down with this selling, there's only one little minor bullish thing, but that's again very, 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 very minor tomorrow. And then there'll be other trades. Even if we go lower, there'll be other bullish trades. It's just a matter of when they trigger and what the probabilities are. Save your money in for when the setups are there. If you only trade from the long side, sit on your hands, and if it's trending down tomorrow, don't look at Tesla. Go do something else. Go find another stock to trade, or go do something else. It's holiday season. Go find something nice to do. Okay? It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Life of a... So that's just a little recap. I just want people to be safe. Don't try to be heroes so you can say, oh, look, I bought the low. That's a fool's game. It really is. Focus on making money, not the exact... And to make money, you focus on the setups and the probabilities. Okay? It's like when I used to count cards. You know, everything's based off of probabilities. I mean, that was one of the greatest things that helped me even more with, especially off-floor trading, is when you're counting cards, you're learning to shift the probabilities in your favor. When things aren't in your favor, you're either walking away from the table or your minimum table bet. When things are in your favor, you're upping the bet. Does that mean every hand wins when things are in your favor? No. But when the odds are in your favor, the long-term pattern, the long-term probabilities, that's why you up your bets once the deck gets favorable. And that's when things aren't favorable, you bet the table minimum because the odds are against you and you want to limit your losses. Okay? So think in terms, I mean, that's probably one of the greatest things that really solidified it long-term in my mind was looking at everything in terms of probabilities and how to say, okay, probabilities aren't in my favor. I'm sitting on my hands. See, in trading, you don't even have to make a table minimum bet because you can sit in front of the screen all day long and sit on your hands and say, I'm long only. There's no probabilities in my favor. I'm sitting on my hands. All right, you don't have that luxury sitting at a blackjack table because they don't just let you sit there and pass on hands. You gotta sit there and make a table minimum bet. But that's why you also, when it is in your favor, when you detect things in your favor, you up your bet because that's when your bread and butter is. That's why you've been sitting there. So do the same thing with trading. Hey, the odds are in my favor. Hey, look, we have a massive, great bottoming setup. Oh, it didn't trigger. Didn't do anything. Oh, it did trigger. Now I go in. Now I'm with the trade. Now I manage the trade. And I don't get greedy. Don't get greedy in trading. That's why raise, when you hit especially key levels, take stuff off and raise stops. And don't be afraid of trailing out of positions because it keeps you with the trend as long as you can. All right. All right. Thank you for the stream. Hope everyone has a great trading day tomorrow. Thank you, Wavy. Real quick, going back to options market making, what's to say the call option open interest volume isn't someone selling covered calls compared to individuals buying calls? Well, open interest is the net of the longs. The volume can be both. Okay? And you can have that in there, but overall, especially with these gamma type of things, you don't have tons of people. The covered call volume is a lot lower than the speculative call buying volume. So yes, you can have both. Your volume's going to reflect that. Okay, you're just going to reflect longs and shorts. However, there's a hell of a lot more longs going off than there are shorts in the calls. So with that, any other questions? Before I wrap this up, again, if you're not a member of Discord, please consider joining so you can see what's going on tomorrow, and it'll probably help you. Oliver, please be patient tomorrow. Don't try to be a hero. And everybody else, that goes for you too. Thank you, Sterling. Thank you, Dave. Again, the goal to make in trading is to make money, not try to say you called a high or a low. It's to make money. And with that, I will leave it for today. Talk to everyone tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining. As always, bye for now.